Good morning and welcome everyone to yet another Nordic webinar together with Microsoft on the Windows 11 Pro story. So the Windows experience, it's actually today from a holistic standpoint everywhere, all around us. Everything from smaller IoT devices up to bigger devices, up to tablets and phones. Windows 11 is the entire experience is something that you can, of course, be provided by a device through Azure Virtual Desktop for those who wants a scalable virtual machine, depending on your workload through different periods. The Windows 365 offering as a fixed SaaS solution. Everything around that ecosystem, TD SYNNEX has you covered, ranging from solution architects in our team. We have, of course, great BDMs and PSMs who can help you with the journey. And of course, we have also the greatest endpoint team in the world that will help you with choosing the right devices if you want the device approach. My name is Alexander Pontikis. I'm the GTM lead for Microsoft and Adobe here at TD SYNNEX, as we are called from a couple of weeks ago. So this is actually the first official TD SYNNEX Microsoft Co webinar, at least to my knowledge, since the renaming of the brand. And today I've also the delight to have Kjer Petersen, Nordic Master Trainer from Microsoft, who will cover a bit of the features that are new in Windows 11 Pro and Windows 11. And features is something that we think is very important from a productivity standpoint and from a security standpoint. That's why we are having this webinar to get you more deeply into the features, so you can be better trusted advisors to your end customers. Please feel free to post your questions in the chat up here in the Q&A section. This webinar, of course, is being recorded. And without much further ado, I will hand it over to Thomas. That is very, he has a bit of cold today, but he's very, very nighty and is joining us regardless. So over to you, Thomas.
Thank you, Alex. And yes, in advances, I really do apologize for my voice. It's way better than yesterday, at least. So if I do take breaks, bear with me. I have my tea ready, I have my water ready, so I will try to keep my voice in the best way possible during today. As said, my name is Thomas. I work with Microsoft doing all kinds of readiness and sales enablement for our DPSS channel here in the Nordics across all 4 countries. And we're delighted to do this with TD SYNNEX. It's so hard not just saying tech data still. It's such a thing. But yes, first one with TD SYNNEX, and just want to go through what we'll be covering today. First, we'll just have a little introduction, some key things to know about. We'll touch upon the latest features, what is actually being new and added to the 22H2 update. We'll look at security, management side, productivity, and of course, if you want to know more. We can't deep dive on everything today. I think that would require way more, but we'll touch upon some of the key things, and I believe you could take what you feel fits best in with your customers and try to use that into new product sales or services that you can add on to your customers out there. So first off, we kind of talked about it. We had our end of license, not the first time that we've said. It's just awareness for this time. We're kind of nearing where Windows 10 is going end of license. We know you can still buy a PC where you can choose if you want to go either Windows 10 or Windows 11 out of the box. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about right now, at least. Since if people then choose our Windows 10 offering within our partner devices, just be aware that we have this end of license now, so we're not actually shipping any new licenses for products as standalones. But if you choose a Windows 10 license versus a Windows 11, of course it will work. Just be aware that we actually have end of support coming in 2025, and that's the 14th of October. So it's actually less than 3 years from today when we're looking at it. So to make sure that your customers gets, let's say, the most lifespan out their PC, I would definitely recommend talking way more Windows 11 than we do Windows 10. And I'm hoping to give you guys a few tips. I have a section where we're actually talking about our commitment to compatibility. I think that's key to when you're talking with your customers, especially if they're using Intune or any other mobile device management tool, to consider that Windows 10 and 11 it's built on the same framework, so to say. And I'll show you guys a few numbers on that one. Because if you look at it, and we say that it's till 2025, less than 3 years, as I said, it's actually less than the average lifespan of a PC here in the Nordics, and that's across all lines of business. Like, I know my mom and dad, their PC, I think it's 6 years old now, so they definitely draw in the different way, in a different path with that one. But from commercial point of view, I don't think 3 years necessarily is enough to make sure that your employees are that your purchase is worth going at. So talk Windows 11. I think that's my key takeaway right off this to begin with. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Just want to talk about something that Microsoft is actually looking at. So your customers and you guys as a company can actually benefit from the $20 billion investment that Microsoft is putting into security research and development. Because there's quite a lot of numbers, as you can see here, where it's actually helping 2.5 billion daily endpoint inquiries, and even 921 password attacks every second that's being blocked. So it's definitely something that we're spending quite a lot of time, effort, and money on at Microsoft, because it is a key focus for us. Gone are days where you needed a lot of extra stuff on top of your Windows. We wanted to make sure that the baseline security within Windows is in place. And one of the reasons is, of course, that hybrid work it's here to stay. Let's just be honest. We have numbers that definitely supports this, because the business landscape has changed. We were kind of forced away from our office desks and office chairs next to our colleagues, and organizations kind of adapted, and especially employees really took it to heart, where it's becoming an increasing demand actually from employees when being hired, that they're asking, I need to be able to work hybrid or mobile or remote. People have kind of seen the value of not commuting an hour every day to the office, or less, being able to, when in a jam, work from home, or do a few weeks out of the days out of the week. But of course, it comes with a few. Oh, it's showing up in the wrong way. Yes. So we did a survey just to undermine this one, where we actually see that 60% of the organizations that we surveyed, this is from September of last year. I haven't seen the new one yet, sorry. But 60% of them at least have some employees that work from home. We also see that 3 out of 4 of those companies, they feel that this move to hybrid kind of leaves them more vulnerable to security threats, which makes sense, because now they're no longer hardwired. They don't know the Wi-Fi that they're connecting to. If they go to a coffee shop, again, open network, you want to make sure. And 70% are actually even worried about theft, which is constantly a surprise every time I see that one. But I think that has to do with, of course, looking at where my point of view versus both IT decision makers and security decision makers around businesses where theft seems to be a rather big thing. So one of the things that we definitely see is that we're also getting, so I'm just going to run through a few numbers with you guys here in the beginning. Sorry. We definitely see that there's high percentages of attacks and so forth, but I think one of the key things I want to highlight here is that 44% of those actually see security as the top priority over performance, over reliability, and even compatibility. So 44% of the businesses that we've asked actually believe that security is their #1 priority when buying a new device. Then, of course, when we're looking at our new ones, I think the two top ones are 80 and 86%. They can kind of be merged together in one. So we have 80% saying that software alone, that's not it's gonna cut it for them, and 86% actually agree with us when our statement is that modern hardware would actually help protect against future threats. So there's quite a lot of already knowledge and awareness, I might say, about it needs to be a combination of both hardware and software to make sure that we stay as secure as possible. And then just where we actually believe that replacing all older PCs with modern PCs definitely makes a big difference. We actually see a 3.1 reported reduction in firmware attacks when companies are going to modern versions of modern devices versus just kind of upgrading their devices. We also see, so sorry. Sorry. We also see that 99% of apps are actually available, are compatible with Windows 11. So that's kind of some of the numbers that we have, and then let's just jump into some of the new features that we are adding when we're talking Windows 11 as well. And I'll just get a single sip of my tea and then we'll move on. Just to make sure my throat is feeling as it should. So as I think you kind of, as I alluded to, and I think you picked up on this, that security has never been more important. Cybersecurity threats, they are like becoming increasingly frequent and sophisticated. And as I kind of alluded to as well, hybrid work styles can increase that risk and security management complexity as well. And as more people they can adapt to those different hybrid work styles, we need the right solutions to make sure that people have the right access to the right resources that they actually need. So first off, I just want to talk, this is some of the latest features that we've added. Of course, we have our Windows Defender Smart Screen, which is, it's not a new thing per se, but one of the things that we have is we've definitely enhanced how it works. So it's, let's say sorry, whoa, it's just become increasingly important for us to look at this one. Because of course, Windows Defender Smart Screen, it provides this early warning. It's an early warning system that kind of protects you against websites that might engage in phishing attacks or attempt to distribute malware through like these attacks that they're working. So it's built on what's it called? Sorry. Wow. Sorry. Let me just. Yes. Sorry. So it's of course built on the reputation of the website, but also based upon all the signals that Microsoft gets every day to make sure it's pushed out to every device that's running Windows 11 across the board. So it's great with that one to just be aware of the first one. And of course, as you see on the little screen where it's showcasing, give you the next action. So like, hey, this is actually unaware, so it's not just leaving you, it's giving you an actionable step to take. You might want to click here to change your password and then be led directly to your Microsoft account as well. Smart app control is something that we've just launched as well. Smart app kind of gives organizations, they can actually give employees the flexibility to choose their own applications while still maintaining a tight security on top of it. It's especially designed for small and also mid-sized businesses, because it kind of prevents you from running malicious applications on Windows devices by blocking anything that is untrusted or that isn't signed the proper way software as well. So, oh, sorry, I thought that would actually, okay. First one I didn't have a GIF on. I kind of expected that one, so sorry. Smart app control is kind of like what we have in our Defender Smart Screen, but built into Windows, so not necessarily your browser. So when you're online, and the thing with this one is that it uses AI. The feature only kind of allows apps to run that are predicted to be safe. And again, kind of like with Smart Screen Defender, as I said, it's based upon existing but also new intelligence processes that we kind of look at every day. It will only be available in new devices that is shipping now. So if you ship a device now and you install the latest update, it will be available. If you are running Windows 11 already, you would need a clean install to actually take advantage of this feature. So it's just worth noting that if you want to make the most of this one, just you need to do a clean install on your Windows 11 device. Another thing, and it's not per se a new thing, but the key thing here is we've added something called presence sensing. Previously, you had that option with a companion device, for example, your mobile phone, where your PC was connected to your mobile or your smartwatch or anything else via Bluetooth. And then when you approached your PC, it knew that you were close, or when you moved away, it locked because of the distance between your companion device and your PC. What we have here is Windows Hello being used for the same feature. So it's using your Windows Hello cameras to presence, like to sense your presence, to use the name of it, and using facial recognition and these new presence detection sensors to make sure that you can actually just walk up to PC. It will scan for you, notice, oh, it's actually you, and lock you in hands-free. And then again, even more importantly, when you leave your device, make sure that your screen is automatically locked down. I did notice that my own device actually did not work with my dynamic lock on my companion device the last time I went to the office, because I left my PC and looked back and the screen was still on. So just having that sense of security when you leave home, that you still have that it automatically locks, because when I'm working from home, for example, and I want to leave my PC, I don't need it to lock because there's nobody really here to get a hold of my information that I might not want to share. So a new feature. It is hardware dependent, of course, so it will require certain features within the PC, of course. Another layer that we have added is and this is especially from an IT admin perspective, where organizations can use Microsoft Endpoint Manager to send out organizational messages to specific devices or users. They can even adapt and include the company logo to make sure that it's seen as something from the business, not just a Microsoft pop-up. Because this can kind of be helped to send corporate notifications to a desktop, to a lock screen, or right above the taskbar to help, like, for example, with onboarding new employees, if they have internal learnings that they need to do, internal trainings that they need to jump to, then you can actually push out this notification as well when we are looking at that one. So it's another tool to move away from necessarily sending you an email or sending it through Teams, but actually getting it right on top of your screen, no matter what app you might be working in. Good. Another thing for IT admins that we've added is actually that we've added this option with remote help to help employees when and where they might need it. With remote help, IT can actually provide real-time assistance through the cloud with using tools that's just built into Windows 10 and Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Again, a little caveat, I kind of missed that one in the previous. It of course requires that the company is running some kind of Microsoft 365 subscription. With this one, it's an E3 that you need to be able to add this one. But the cool thing here is that you can enable this and then actually just go right ahead and take over. Because with this connection, as I kind of said, your support staff or IT can actually remotely connect to the user device, and they can either view what's going on, or they can even be permitted to take full control over the device as well. So see this as a drop-in to IT, but without actually leaving your seat.
So just a curious question there, Thomas, around remote help. This is a quite of an eye-opener. Just to go back that for a couple of seconds, it basically means that you can implement the same kind of functionality as you use now using TeamViewer or any other kind of third party. Would you say that this is just as powerful?
Yes, so because you can, as I said, you can even view the screen. So if there's certain issues that the end user wants to highlight, then they can do that. But IT can also like take over full control of the PC and then see, what have you done with your settings? Have you done, is it actually, we call it in Denmark file 40, so like error 40. So it's 40 centimeters from the PC. That's what we can relate to, that the error is happening. And then they can actually just go in there and make configurations directly, or take those actions on the device, just to ensure that there's not something that's off as well. I think I've been the IT guy for certain people in my teams throughout the years, and it's not always easy to do it when you can't actually see everything that's going on the screen. And I've tried like getting control over a PC over Teams. There's always this little delay compared to using this one. So see this as an extra layer of tool for IT admins to actually support with this. A good question, yes. Our app Azure is key. We have a very strong commitment to compatibility with Windows. I said this before, we don't want to do a Vista. So no matter if you are a large enterprise company or you're a small business, App Azure can actually provide that, what's it called? Application compatibility assistance, actually, to make sure that a business can feel very confident when they're upgrading the devices to Windows 11. So App Azure, it's kind of built into name. It's a tool to ensure that your apps actually work on your upgraded devices with no changes required within the app. If we do run into any, let's say, compatibility issues, App Azure, we actually have engineers available where you can request the service. You can ask for App Azure service request, and then they can actually work with the company to make sure that your apps work flawlessly. One of the new things with this one is actually these used to be only for a certain size company. What we've done now is we've opened up the door, so it's not something that is only required to enterprise companies. Now it's from enterprise to all the way down to small businesses. It's kind of been there in the background, but it's not really been relevant for us to talk about when we look at the SMB market, because it's not been an option unless they really want to pay for it. But here it's actually been opened up to be used. Another thing that we've done and we've kind of opened up again is actually our Microsoft test base. This, I should have a little caveat to this one, and I'll just do that right off the bat, is that it still requires a Microsoft 365 subscription of some kind. It just requires one user on that subscription. But here you actually get access to world-class insights about your apps, because you can use these developer tools that we have in Microsoft TestBase. Because TestBase kind of helps you understand your application's ability to continue working even as platform dependencies such as the latest Windows updates actually change. It's easy to onboard your software applications. It's through an Azure portal then, and then you can get insights about the application, about test results, performance metrics, if there's any crash or hang signals that we're getting as well. And again, in addition to this automatically actually enables you to be able to test your compatibility against Windows and other pre-release updates on virtual machines as well. So another layer to that one. Let's move on to a bit of the productivity and something that I definitely think is. I started using this right after my update launched, to be quite honest. Our personalized file explorer. I'll tell you how I used it and how I used to use it, to be quite honest. I have certain tools or documents that I use with my manager and the marketing team generally, and I update it quite often. So what I had, of course, I've put it in as my favorites in Edge, so I could just click that favorite link and get access to them on SharePoint. The main issue with that one is actually that it opens up in Office Online, which is a great tool, but there's certain things that you just don't get. So what you get with this one is the option of actually pinging them or pinning them directly in your file explorer. So I have three different, two of them, one is a PowerPoint and two is an Excel for reporting that I've pinned on my SharePoint, as you can see on screen here now, actually. It's simple. You just click on the document you want and then you add to favorites, and then as you see, let me just see if I can pause it right here. Nope, it didn't work, the pause, sorry. Then you will actually get updates when anyone is adding comments or content to what you're working on. I just think this makes it way easier, and the benefit of doing it here is that it actually opens up directly in the app instead of going to Edge, then clicking open up in app, because there's certain benefits to using the apps, especially the ones that I'm using with PowerPoint, where sometimes, yeah, let's leave that behind. It's always better in the app than it is online, to be quite honest. Another thing is our smart menu app folders, and it's been around for years. It's just not been around on the Windows platform. The main benefit here is that you can organize apps for easy access and for quick navigation. So you can create those and name folders, of course, in your start menu. And then you can just drag and drop apps that you want, kind of like you do on your mobile device. The key thing here is, of course, to organize your desktop in a way that it's not overwhelming, to make sure that you have what you need when you need it in an easy way. I use that all the time on my phone, to be honest. That's where it kind of started from. But it's just about being able to cluster your apps in one place. So if you're looking for something Office, you could add all your Office apps into an Office folder, just have access to Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and everything else. If you have internal apps, you can cluster them as well. So just making sure that your start menu gets cleaned up to make sure that's for you, there's no like information overload. Everything's just in one place. Our key thing is again our enhanced focus tools, where it's so easy to get distracted when you are in a meeting. We can just turn on autofocus, which I have right now, so I don't get all of these notifications from Teams if somebody's writing to me, or Outlook, that you don't get this little dot down there saying, hey, you have 2 emails, you have 1 email, you have 2 notifications in Teams. It's about making people achieve their goals and getting more done, so you don't get distracted. So that's definitely, we've had our focus assistant for some time. It's just been enhanced, so you kind of remove it all the way from your taskbar as well, where previously you would still get, your notifications on the taskbar, it's not pinging you per se. And oh, that one I actually wanted to skip. So let's skip it. Okay, now my PowerPoint is hanging, so I'll keep talking. I didn't want to cover this one particularly because it's very similar to what we have now, where it of course uses AI to come up with suggestions once you open up a certain document to ensure that you share it on the right platform with the right people. So that's what we mean with contextual recommendations. So one thing that I just want to highlight before we move on, and that's actually our NPU camera effects that we're adding. We all know that Teams, Zoom, Google Meet, anything that you might want to be using has some kind of background blur included. And it's great having that in the app. But one of the things that we're adding, this is hardware dependent, so be aware that this is uniquely for modern newer devices that's being bought after this date, is that you actually start using the PC itself to start working on your dynamic background blur, work with your noise cancelling as well, and of course having a natural eye contact. What it kind of helps is we're using these AI neural processing unit, I believe that it's called, that's a part of it, helps you look and sound the best while maintaining a great performance on your device. It's not up to necessarily the app now, it's just built into your PC. If you want to choose, there's different things like portrait mode that you can choose that creates a softer visual effect. It keeps you automatically framed, so if you start moving around, it will automatically make sure that you're always in center. If you joined us at Ignite, I saw the live demo that they did on stage with Panos Panay. It works great. Of course, it was used on a Surface device, but this is actually being pushed out across our platform of partners as well. So modern, HP, Lenovo, Dell, Asus, etc. It will be coming to them as well. With natural eye contact as well, it kind of looks like you're always looking directly into your webcam, even though you might be looking a bit down at your screen. So it's another tool to help you like be more engaged when you're doing your meetings as well. Sorry. So just to take, these are the latest features, and I wanted to jump upon some of the things that we believe that this one goes to, because if we go in and replace aging PCs with a modern Windows 11 device, we see a significant reduce in security threats, because we have businesses that report a 58% drop in security incidents with Windows 11 Pro devices. That's from our report from last year, as you can see. So, and this is of course in comparison to our Windows 10 devices as well. Windows 11, as I think if you've been to any of our sessions before, you've heard this statement before, it's security out of the box. Because with Windows 11 devices compared to our older devices, you kind of integrate hardware and software for powerful out-of-the-box protection, and I'll go back to something that I said in the beginning, and I'm rehashing that one, a 3.1% reduction in firmware attacks as well. And the new things that we've added, let me just highlight this one, is of course, you have your, we've added the layers to protect you, out of the box with Smart App Control, but also our updates to Defender Smart Screen. And still, again, Windows Hello, don't want to get away from that one, where it's not only about this one. So as I said, we want to shield valuable data, but also enable a secure hybrid work. with the latest security features that businesses that they say they actually need. And as I said, we have our presence sensing here, so just want to highlight that one. It's that's one of the new things that we're added. We have our enhanced phishing protection as well. We look at our secure core PCs, modern devices running Windows 11 right at the factory, and our Microsoft Pluton devices as well, which is coming. It's just landed with AMD's latest generations of processors, where you can actually start the GPM chip to make it just really simple. Is built into the processor now, so it's in one place. The story behind Pluton, and I don't want to get too deep into it. It's built on Xbox. It transferred to Azure, and now it's on Windows devices. The great thing with this kind of story is that it started on Xbox. And why did it start on Xbox? It started to make sure to enable or make sure that people couldn't actually use pirated games, that people couldn't get around this digital rights management tool that's built in. And it's been there for 13 years, and we haven't had one breach yet. So it's quite secure. And after that one, we moved it onto Azure, and now we're moving it on to Windows devices as well. So that's kind of like where we want to go when it comes to protection against this one. And let's just skip that one. Management tools, a kind of rundown of everything that we have here. So of course, we talked about our remote help that you have. We talked about our zero trust. No, we didn't, but that's kind of what Windows is built up on. It's our zero trust framework. So trust nothing, verify everything, and assume that someone is in your system. That's kind of our approach to this one as well. Of course, you can push out all these notifications as we talked about as well. Yeah, okay, this one is just, let me get back. Our compatibility to commitment, as we talked about with our Microsoft test base, we talked about it with App Assure, where we see that 99.6% apps are compatible, testing 1.1 million apps, and opening that up to any company size, from, as I said, large enterprises to small businesses as well. And then when we're talking about Windows 11 Pro, of course you need business-ready devices. Some of the things that comes, and it's much more, let's say, device focused, is of course and user productivity focused, is our Snap Assistant, which is, I think, a great tool to start using if you haven't yet, to make sure that you optimize the desktop that you're working with. Let me just see if this one, yes, just to highlight it here, where it's really simple, just hover over those who might not be on Windows 11 yet, and just make the most out of your screen. We added more and smarter video conferencing calls, as if you've been on one of our Windows 11 one, where you can share directly from your taskbar. You can mute directly from your taskbar without having to look at what you might be adding on. And of course, a presence sensing to sign you in when you approve, your file explorer with tabs, your smart menu as well, your personal file explorer, but also your start menu that you can start putting smart folders in as well, to make sure that everything is where you need it. Let's just move on. Don't want to talk too much about this one. There's quite a lot of things, and you can see some of it is new, some of it is has been here from the boot. So there's quite a lot of things that when we're looking at protection out of the box, but also how we see it evolving and moving on with security. So let's just jump to a little bit about security, and then we'll make sure to move on. Oh, sorry. One of the things that we definitely have is, as I said, is we have modern management tools that works. So if you're using Intune, if you're using any other mobile device management tool, it still works on Windows 11. You have security turned off on by default out of the box. And one of the things that we see as key is that with Windows 11 devices, hardware and software security works together to make sure that users, data, and devices, of course, is protected. It's all the way from the cloud to your device, and you have that option as well. So as an out-of-the-box protection, we have a number one priority. It's 42%. Security is an investment area where people are looking into and definitely wanna highlight and wanna talk about. So let's talk about modern devices, and let me just turn on this one. Yes, you can upgrade your Windows on most devices. What are the requirements? There's a lot of things here, but 8th gen Intel, 2nd gen AMD Ryzen, they are all available to actually upgrade as long as they have a TPM 2.0 chip. Shouldn't be a thing. It's been in all motherboards since 2016 now, so that's 6 years, where it has been a requirement from Microsoft to have it enabled on any device being sent out there. So if it's not on, it's just a simple BIOS, or I'm saying simple, but it's a BIOS thing, and then you can actually turn it on. Because the key benefits is that when we're talking about this one, is you improve your security, you have a lower cost of ownership throughout the years, and higher customer satisfaction as well. We see that 86%, and I'm referencing something that I said before, agree that modern hardware would help. We see a way lower cost to actually buying a new device than maintaining a 4-year-old PC. And on top of that, we have an 18% higher satisfaction on Windows 11 than we did on Windows 10 on modern devices. And then to the more obvious things that you get, of course, you get faster processing, you get more quality. But if you were here the last time, you've heard me say this as well. But one of the things that I keep forgetting every day, because some of us are privileged in the way that we work. I forgot how bad webcams were in 2018 when I started working from home, to be quite honest. I needed an external webcam to have a great experience when we did Skype meetings. Wi-Fi as well, the improvements there are just like, you kind of forget about the smaller things when you're looking at it. Because yes, you would expect that a 4-year-old PC wouldn't have great battery life. You would expect that, yes, a lot has happened on processing side, but you wouldn't necessarily consider the Wi-Fi as being a part of it. Key thing is, of course, that we're working with all our partners, because our ecosystem kind of provides partners the widest array on the market for you guys. So from 2-in-1s, laptops, desktop at every price point, from Asus, Dell, etc., Intel, AMD, Qualcomm, they're all on board to bring the latest Windows 11 innovations to your customers and ours as well. So with that one said, I just want to highlight, if you want to know more, jump to Expert Zone. It's created for you guys as resellers. It's created for anyone that wants to know more about Windows Server, Office, Intune, Autopilot, anything in between. And I'll just highlight one thing. We have a brand new course coming up, and this is mine that I shared on LinkedIn the other day. You can actually get this badge when you do our accreditations. So this is something that's enabling you to share directly to LinkedIn to make sure that your connections, your customers, anyone that you might be connected to on LinkedIn are aware that you know your stuff. Sorry, that are seeing, so you can really push out this to anyone that might be here. Yes, so with that one, I see, thank you. And I see there's a question actually right now. So Matthias, I can definitely say any of the issues that you're mentioning, yes, they are being looked at. We know, especially VPN, we are actually trying to move away from a VPN-less environment. That's kind of like our goal with our secure core PCs and a zero trust setting. From our own side, we've actually always been required to have a VPN, not anymore. I only need to turn it on manually when I am on an unknown network. So if I'm at an airport or I'm anywhere else, I need to turn on my VPN. But just working from home now, I don't need a VPN to access corporate materials anymore. That's where we're trying to move. So just touching upon that one. And I understand what you're saying. It's a large question you asked, Matthias. I must admit, it's a very large one. But be aware that most of the things that we're looking at is of course being looked at. One of the things that I will say, the start menu, it's something that you have to get used to. I'm not sure that they will change that one. The idea behind moving the start menu to the center is that it should be your main focus when you open it up on your screen. Because we've always had it to the left, but if you can think about it, it's not very intuitive to have a start menu on the left. If you open up any of your apps, they don't open up on the left side of your screen, they open up front and center. If you open up PowerPoint, that's where it opens up. If you open up a Word document, Outlook, anything, it's because you open up things because you want to look at it. Having it to the left, it wouldn't make sense. I would think if I opened up, let's just go on my private PC, if I opened up Spotify and it was minimized and not taking up full screen in the corner of my screen, I wouldn't see that as being very logical. So one of the things that we are trying to do by moving it to the center, I know when I went to Windows 11, I went to the left part of my screen so many times to click start. Total transparency here. I did that, but I think the start menu in the center is here to stay. The key thing with that one is actually making sure that that is what you're looking at. It's center. You don't have to navigate around. But everything else that you see with login join, yes. When they are in an office, definitely, it's all something that's being looked at. There's a feedback hub within Windows. It's here because we want to get feedback from the end users. Anything that you have, if you have a customer that's seeing something that's a bigger issue, the easiest way to actually start going into the feedback hub, seeing if there's something that relates to what you're saying, and then like voting it up. It's a very, let's say, it's almost like a democracy of feedback that's there. And of course, we are looking very much at it. Something like our pin start menu, to be quite, or our what's it called, pin file explorer, sorry, that's actually come from our feedback hub within our Windows Insiders. That's something that people that used Windows really wanted to add. So that's why it's primary there. It's the #1 requested feature that we've added this time around. That's our that one. So if you're seeing any issues, of course, reach out to anyone that you might know. It could be tech data that then connects you with us, and then we take the discussion. If not, the feedback hub, it's also a great place to actually start being looking at it and seeing if you can vote up something, because it's definitely being used. Very, like, our development team is very engaged in feedback from the end users. Like, that's what we are responding to. It's key that we listen as well. So yes, totally understand what you're saying, but they are being looked at, the things that I think we need to look at. I hope that it was a very long answer. I hope that worked for you, Matthias. So yes.
Yeah, and totally also agree, Matthias, that in some applications where you have a vertical alignment, let's say for programming and others writing long documents, you can use stuff like auto hide, but it doesn't help always. Of course, this is a we have the behavior for so long, having the start menu in the left corner, but I kind of buy into your idea, Thomas, that we have humans have a quite narrow focus, let's say, field. If you look at our eyes, I think You know, it was a quite long ago when I got my driver's license, but I think you talked about like the focus area. What you're actually seeing is 1% of your total viewing field. So what's in focus is 1%, and then the rest on the wide angle is blurry. So it makes sense in one way. And also, I just want to know, I don't have the deepest technical expertise in that sense, but there are, of course, discussions all across internet. There are discussions in general, and that's something I think that we could have as a topic going forward in our upcoming webinars, whether it's in this setting or any of the other more technical webinars that we have. For instance, right now in 10 minutes, we have something called Text Thursday, where we talk about Azure security and such, whereas the theme is VPN going away, or will it be more used for personal users who wants to hide their IP, or will it, and what will happen in the enterprise SMB? Will be using stuff based on the Zero Trust framework instead, without having the cost of VPNs, without having to, let's say, I know there were a lot of companies that had to mass deploy and expand their VPNs due to the massive hybrid work or kind of remote work transition that we had during COVID. So that is a very, very interesting discussion. And nevertheless, what happens if, let's say, VPN is going away to other solutions? That could be, I see it much more as an opportunity for partners to have other security offerings instead of VPNs. But very, very interesting discussions.
Absolutely. Yes, it's, to be honest, it's a very interesting time that we're living in.
Yeah.
And we will, of course, keep moving on, and everything will change. But I think the basics, key is the basics will remain the same. So it shouldn't be like our fundamentals of Windows are the same. So you have that option of using your tools that you have been using before. So yes, that's kind of just what I wanted to end up with.
Yeah, and I know this is quite digressing on the subject, and we maybe going to have to get back to you. Of course, there are a lot of people, which was also stated in the chat very accurately, that a lot of organizations still have on-prem service as well, that might that they need to access over VPN. I don't know, Thomas, if some other kind of method could apply to get rid of accessing.
I don't think VPNs are like going away completely, as you said. I think that the thing is that, and as you said, there's a massive, all of a sudden, like need to implement VPNs in early 2020, right? Where everyone was all of a sudden kicked out of the office. So you needed that VPN. Of course, if an organization like that one, and they have their on-prem service and they need that VPN to connect to it, of course, it's still something that you can enable if you access that one. I'm just saying, I think we're looking at a future where there's this option to really, as partners, to work with your customers to figure out, okay, what setting can you work to build an even tighter knit, trusted advisor relationship, if that makes sense. So that, like, yes, you're using this one, of course you guys still need a VPN if they're going to the cloud, and they have a secure core or zero trust principle behind everything that they're doing. Then you kind of you negate the need for a VPN all of a sudden, because your PC is communicating with your server or your cloud solutions, and they are like always constantly pinging each other to make sure you are the right person, you are like behavioral wise, and everything else in between is being checked against each other. So it's definitely an opportunity, and I know it's not simplifying it, but I think the great thing is that not everyone all of a sudden needs a VPN, but those who need it still have the option to add VPN easily to Windows now. I myself, on a personal side, have VPN actually on my private device, just to shed some of the tracking that you're subjected to on your mobile device, on your tablet on your PC. But from a work perspective, I love that I don't need my VPN necessarily to access all our corporate materials. It's just, you know, my PC is my approver, and my Windows Hello is the second layer. So when I need to access something, they're like, oh, is that really you? Turn on my webcam and I'm in. It's a simple way of doing it. So you know, just wanted to go through that one just a bit.
Okay, so we have another question down in the chat around downgrading.
Yes. So one of the things that you can downgrade. Sorry, you can downgrade. So what you can is there's devices that are available where you can choose either 10 or 11 out of the box, out of the OBE experience, of course. There's also the option, if you buy a Windows 11 license, you can download the Windows 10 ISO file and then activate it through that Windows 11 license. But just beware, it's under 3 years now that's left on support on Windows 10. So keep imaging with Windows 10. Yes, you can do that. But have this discussion. We need to start moving. We have a 3-year span. So start planning, start figuring out, have that conversation. When do we need to move? And with the knowledge of 99.6% of apps that actually works, have that conversation, start telling that one team. I think that's key to start kind of moving in that direction. Because yes, Windows 10 was a great operating system. It still is. But let's move on. We have an even better operating system now, I believe. From security aspect, mostly with hardware and software being more integrated than it was in Windows 10.
And also, of course, we also see the transition in different staging, and in all transparency, TD SYNNEX being a big company as we are, we used to do the old ways of imaging, having a static image, putting on new devices, but we transformed into using Intune. Of course, that would mean that the device must come with Windows 10 from a start. So it could be like a little bit like ripping the Band-Aid. So that would mean that if you want to go into Windows 11, you would, I mean, also going into the new way of staging devices with autopilot.
Yeah, exactly. And Windows 10 and Windows 11 can be managed simultaneously, of course, through Intune and deployed through autopilot and everything else like that. Cool. I think
that's
we
great.
need to. I have a meeting coming up as well, so it was good. We had a lot of questions at the end to.
Very good questions, and this is not the end of it. Please keep sending your questions to us at TD SYNNEX of everything regarding your device deployment needs, and we will, of course, the story will continue, and there will be, of course, more webinars around this topic coming up. So stay tuned. You'll get an invite. This will be recorded for you to watch after this as well. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, our dear resellers across the Nordics, and we'll talk soon again.
Yes.
Have a great rest of the day. Thank you.